So most people are most responsive in a state of inspiration and desperation. And in most cases, people are in a state of desperation. That's just usually the case. There's always some kind of consequence that people fear that gets them to move in a certain way, take certain action to avoid that type of consequence. And, I mean, it's pretty evident throughout history that that's the case, right? And so, knowing this, why would you want to reinvent the wheel, per se, versus work with it to be more productive and achieve the goals you desire? And so, one I wanted to talk about is basically ways you can use this to be more productive about your day. You know, one way that we're all used to is setting tasks and deadlines, but normally these only work in cases of like when there's a consequence behind it. Like basically like most people who are in school, there are deadlines and tasks that you gotta uphold to, and the reason why you're doing all your work most of the time is because you don't want to miss, the deadline. You don't want to get an F on your paper. You don't want to, fail a class. You see thousands of people cramming the day before a test because they don't want to fail it. Why? Because they can't take it again. If they fail it, unless they have a good reason. You don't want to lose your job if you miss your deadline for a certain project. I mean, there's several cases like that. So, whenever you're making tasks and deadlines for your goals, which don't really have a certain consequence that most people uh, could live without, like you set a goal to lose weight and you have these type of tasks to get done. Well, the worst case scenario is that you stay the same. Now, for most people, that isn't motivational enough to get them moving in the direction to lose that weight. I mean, nobody wants to stay the same, but at the same time, you're still going to survive if you don't do it. And that's just how your brain is programmed. Is old programming. We respond the most when we have to survive, I guess. If you lose your job, you got to find money. If you don't have money, you can't pay the bills, you can't eat. If you get an F on your grades, you can't, graduate with your degree. And if you can't get your degree, you won't get the job and blah, 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 blah. That's how most people think. And so when you're setting the tasks and deadlines for usual, other things like, uh, losing weight, doing a sport, anything that you don't consider as important, you gotta understand that one way you can make those deadlines and tasks work is if you have a core desire or consequence behind the deadline or task. So yeah, like give you an example, like all the examples I just said, you're not going to, get a raise if you're not, putting forth more value. So these certain tasks that you got to get done, that's the consequence behind not doing it. Even though you're getting paid, you're still going to get paid if you do your regular jobs. If you don't do these extra tasks, you know, with more effort, the consequence is you're not going to get the raise you want. Because if you're putting forth the same value, why should you get a raise if you're not giving forth any more value to the company? You're not going to lose your weight if you don't do the exercises. You're not going to get that scholarship if you didn't meet the deadline you set or the deadline on the application to make this one simple essay. And that means that's $2,000 you lost that you could have gotten to replace a loan. You're not going to go on vacation that you always wanted to if you chose not to put away a certain amount of money every time you got your paycheck for whatever reason you want to put in your head. And that's just the way it is. And so these are the kind of things you want to put behind, the tasks and deadlines you set for yourself, to get you more responsive and doing whatever it is that you need to do to get what you want. So I hope this helped video today, and thanks for watching, and I will talk to you tomorrow, guys. See you later, and have a great week.